That could be the one that gets Arsenal ultimately over the line. You've been in title-winning dressing rooms so many times, Roy. Will they feel that really in those last 15 minutes they've got over the line?
Yeah, I think so. There'll be a lot of relief, of course, because there was huge pressure on the game, and everyone talking about this is the toughest game we're going to have, and you don't certainly think they can take care of Burnley. You don't want to be too disrespectful to Palace. But yeah, I think there'll be relief in the dressing room, and obviously then the way it finished the game, you're thinking that moment they're probably thinking we've lost the title. So they'll be on that emotional roller coaster. But the fact is they got the job done, and in the key moments regarding the keeper making a good save, or you could say it was a bad miss, then obviously producing that little bit of quality for the winning goal, and then obviously the incident at the end where you think you need a little bit of luck and decision to go your way. So they've had that, but again they kept a clean sheet. Again, the game itself, the technical stuff wasn't great, but if you're going to win a league title, there's going to be parts of the season and parts of games where it's just about surviving and getting through, and they've shown that this season and lots of occasions they can do it. And the goal they've scored was a bit of quality, and it looks simple, but it was effective. And even the last bit, the way the pass from Odegaard, that is quality play. So they deserve all the credit because there was a lot of pressure on them again. Yeah, they've dealt with it this year for both teams, of course, yeah. But they've dealt with it. Whereas you're thinking the last year or two, I don't think the squad were maybe capable of it. But when you look at the bench today, the options to bring these players off the bench is obviously the difference.
Is that the big difference, really, when you think about people like Martin Odegaard being able to come on late in the game and help change the path of it?
Without a doubt, the reason why everybody was saying that this is Arsenal's best chance of winning this season is because of the squad depth. Our captains come off the bench, and we were talking about it, Jamie, that we needed somebody in this particular kind of game because there's pressure on both teams. West Ham for their reasons, and obviously Arsenal for their reasons to try and win this game. But there was no one who was getting their foot on the ball, especially once Declan got moved over to that right-hand side. It got very, very scrappy. There wasn't a lot of quality in the game. And if we're going to be totally honest, the real main quality and the composure was Odegaard coming on and in the box, showed that composure, even the pass to Trossard, so he hasn't got to think about anything, just coming at it first time is a kind of quality you needed in that moment, and he brought that. So the squad, the last 3 seasons, I don't think the squad has been strong enough to continue to get to this point there, but this one is, and this is why it would have been such a travesty to not get something out of this season. It will be a travesty not to get something out of this season.
Might they also reflect, Jamie, that perhaps they got away with one?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. The relief from the fan base, the manager, the players. Because for that moment in time, when the ball goes in your net, you're thinking Declan Rice is trying to you had to unravel everything that was happening. But obviously, Pablo has his arm on the goal, and you're just praying that they can see that.
It was like in those moments, life stopped for Arsenal, didn't it? Life just stopped.
I have never seen if we actually had a stop of it, I don't think I've ever seen more holding in my life. To unravel that moment, it was like watching a Super Bowl. It was like everyone's grabbing on for dear life.
That or a Royal Rumble, I'm not sure.
It was absolutely, it was chaos. And probably, since you've introduced VAR, now I'm not saying because there'll be a lot of West Ham fans will say, well, look at that foul, look, he's holding him.
Oh, we'll do that. We'll do that in a moment.
But there will be a lot of people that will be saying that's one of the most probably important moments of VAR. I mean, what did you think when you heard those words, Righty?
What, when they're going to...
The relief.
Listen, I'm not a big fan. I'm not a massive fan of VAR, but in this instant and what you saw, it did the job.
Well, those words from Chris Kavanagh, after review, are they the sweetest words that you ever heard?
Sweetest words since Martin Luther King's I've had a dream, if I'm going to be totally honest, because I'm hoping, when that goes in, the first thing you're thinking is, please let something have happened in there. Because when Callum Wilson hits that and Declan saves that, you're thinking, please not be over the line. Or you're feeling, I don't know what any other Arsenal fan was thinking, but I was thinking, please let something have gone wrong there. And then, obviously, you look back at it and his arms across him, for me, it was an easy one to give in such a tense moment. But, everything flashed. Everything flashed in front of me. Not great stuff. No. Things flashed. And you're thinking, what, we might have blown it there.
Imagine, like you're saying it flashed for you. What must it have felt like for Mikel Arteta?
Well, again, especially with the first half and how dominant we were, and then Ben White going off. It seemed, and Declan, our best player, I have to say, our best player, most productive player in the first half, it completely negated. And then West Ham started to get into it a little bit. And that's the problem. I think what West Ham had, they didn't go for them. They didn't go for Arsenal enough to perceive how much pressure you can put them under to see if you can create something. And I think we're fortunate in that respect.
I think if Arsenal hadn't won today and they didn't win the league, I think a lot of people would have looked at that moment when he put Declan Rice at right back for 25 minutes and said that's one of the biggest, worst decisions you could ever see a manager make in such an important time. He has to sub Zubimendi. You end up playing Miles Lewis-Skelly at left back. All the changes you had to make for really what was a really simple one. Mosquera for Ben White, right back. Keep Declan Rice in the middle of the pitch. But you need a bit of luck. Yeah. He's got away with it. No one's really going to talk about it now, but it's done. And you sometimes make those decisions. And it was almost as if, like, there was a moment, we looked over, Roy said it, there was all the staff around him, and it was like, well, OK, what do we do? But to get to that point, it made no sense whatsoever. No. But what he did, in fairness to him, is he had the presence of mind to rectify it and go, right, half-time, we've got to change this.
Yeah.
You know, then he brings on Mosquera, eradicates that mistake, and then he ends up having to sub Zubimendi. That's not a nice place to be, doing that to a player. So you haven't lost him, but he's now you have to put his arm around him tomorrow. But it was unbelievable. And then they ended up getting the win. And also full credit for bringing Odegaard on because, like the boy said, he had the big moment.
But the win covers all of that. The win, for all them decision-making, managers getting decisions right or wrong and upsetting some players. But when you get the win, it's a lot easier to get lads back on side, lads who might be upset.